Hello everyone. Thank you for taking time and joining the webinar today. I hope my voice is audible and the display is clear. If not, kindly let us know through the chat option in your GoToWebinar console. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Christopher Clement Soris. I am a technical consultant for Zoho Vault. I believe most of you would know me already as we have worked together for Zoho Vault support. And I will be your presenter for today. This webinar is exclusively designed to educate our customers and help them easily understand the integration steps of Zoho Vault with Microsoft Active Directory. Before I start the session, with regards to questions, please feel free to raise as many questions as possible using the chat option. We will answer them towards the end of the session. When it comes to recording, a copy of the recording can be shared with you on request. Please drop your email ID using the chat option. We will send the copy of the webinar email to your inbox. This is the agenda of this session. I will be covering a quick overview of traditional methods of password management and how to manage passwords with Zoho Vault effectively. Also, a quick overview of Windows Active Directory and Azure Active Directory. Next, we will be looking at the advantages of AD LDAP integration, how to integrate Zoho Vault with Microsoft Active Directory, and then a live demo integrating Zoho Vault with AD. Finally, ending with an interactive Q&A answering your doubts. That being said, let us get started. In today's digital world, we use a large number of web applications, social media websites, banking websites, enterprise applications offered through companies, etc. The number of applications used by individuals varies from one person to another, but all of us have a common problem: remembering passwords of those accounts. It is also hard to configure strong passwords for each account and remember them every day. As a result, we tend to reuse one password for all accounts or often hit the forgot password option. In an enterprise environment, the company used to use common passwords like admin, password 123, password exclamation 23 for easy remembrance. But this makes the company's confidential data at risk. There are chances for third parties and internal folks to steal the confidential data from the company resources. These passwords are often shared via chat, phone calls, email, and through word of mouth. So the company do not have clear visibility on who has access to which passwords. Now, let us see how Zoho Vault can help you manage your privileged accounts and other identities. Zoho Vault helps you securely store all your digital identities, such as passwords, keys, documents, in a centralized repository and allows you to safely share the passwords with other team members based on multiple levels of access permissions. Using the auto-logon capability and SAML SSO for cloud applications, users can access websites and other cloud applications in a single click. We have intuitive reports in Zoho Vault, which helps administrators for compliance purpose. Also, all activities are completely tracked 24/7 and stored as audit trails in the product. So the company gets clear information on who accesses what password and when. Now let us see the security architecture of the product. Zoho Vault uses a security pattern host-proof hosting. So all sensitive data are encrypted in your client side itself using AES 256 algorithm and then transmitted over HTTPS or TLS. The client can be a browser from which you are accessing Zoho Vault or our mobile application or the browser extension. Zoho server holds only encrypted contents and not the actual data. This ensures you have complete data privacy. As an additional layer of security to the user's account, we offer multi-factor authentication during the login. Also, Zoho Vault has IP restriction feature through which the administrators can whitelist or blacklist IPs and allow users to access Zoho Vault only from specific IPs or only within the company's network. If you are someone who are concerned about privacy and GDPR, we have got you covered. We have multiple data centers across the globe. One in USA, which can be accessed with the URL zoho.com/vault. Another one in Europe, which can be accessed via zoho.eu/vault. One in India, it can be accessed via zoho.in/vault. And one in China that can be accessed through zoho.com.cn/vault. Now, we will quickly have an overview about Active Directory and how it works to help people who are new to this technology. Active Directory, popularly called as AD, which is a Microsoft product that is used to manage users, computers, printers, network drives, and other objects within the company's network. AD helps you organize all the users, computers, and network devices into logical and hierarchical groupings. It is something like a telephone directory or contacts app in our mobile. From one single console, Active Directory allows the company administrators to easily find information on users and all the objects within the network. And it also helps administrator configure permissions for users to do things on the network. Let's say a user Lara wants to access a computer attached to the company's Active Directory. First, the user will enter the Active Directory or domain credential on the machine for authentication. If the credentials are successfully authenticated in AD, based on the permissions configured in the Active Directory, the user will be authorized and access will be granted to the computer and other objects within the company's network. Let us see the difference between Windows Active Directory and Azure Active Directory in this slide. The Windows Active Directory is an on-premise solution introduced in 1999. The Azure Active Directory was introduced in 2010. Microsoft developed it for new age companies who wish to run their business completely on the cloud. The commonly used protocols in the on-premise Active Directory are NTLM, Kerberos, and LDAP. On the other hand, protocols used in cloud-hosted Azure Active Directory are SAML, Web Services Federation, OpenID Connect, and OAuth 2.0. So, how AD can help companies? You can centrally store information on users, computers, and other devices in a centralized repository. This helps administrators to easily locate users, computers, and other objects within the company's network. Also, from a single console, administrators can configure permissions and policies at different levels and easily apply them to all devices connected to the Active Directory. It serves as a platform for multiple other services like certificate service, right management service, federation service, SharePoint service, etc. It is scalable and extensible to manage millions of users in a single domain, and it helps IT admins to easily track security events too. The Active Directory is commonly used in all companies, say for example NGOs, healthcare, government organizations, educational institutes, enterprises, R&D, etc. I'm certain there are chances your company is also using the Active Directory. Now, let us get started with the important part of this presentation, how to integrate Zoho Vault with Active Directory and the benefits of integration. To configure AD LDAP integration, the primary requirement is a domain controller with AD Federation services running in it. Once the integration is completed, this is how the setup will be like. First, the user will access Zoho Vault website and enter the user's Active Directory credentials. The credentials will be authenticated in real time against the AD. If the user's authentication is successful, the user will be authorized to access the Zoho Vault service. Then the user will enter the passphrase or the master key to access the encrypted data stored in Zoho Vault. Once logged in, the user can access all websites and other web applications in a single click. So, through this integration, the user can enjoy single sign-on experience, which is nothing but using Zoho Vault with Active Directory credentials. This in turn increases users' adoption to Zoho Vault. Also, the administrators can easily onboard and offboard users to Zoho Vault from Active Directory. Here are the integration steps. First, we need to verify the domain. Say, for example, if your email address is john@zilker.com, you need to verify your domain ownership for zilker.com to import users from that domain. Then, using the Zoho Vault provisioning tool, import users from the Active Directory. At last, configure the SAML settings in Zoho Vault based on the ADFS settings. Now, let me show you how to integrate Zoho Vault with widely used on-premise version of Windows Active Directory. The configuration is very simple and straightforward. You can follow the on-screen instructions and get it done in a few minutes. The first step of AD integration is the domain verification. Let me explain why domain verification is required for an AD LDAP integration. This step is necessary to confirm your ownership of the domain. Also, by verifying the domain, you build a trust in Zoho. In turn, Zoho will automatically create accounts for the users you are going to import from Active Directory. Now, let us see how to add and verify the domain. So first, log into Zoho Vault with your super admin account and navigate to the admin AD LDAP integration page. Click the Add Domain button. Specify your domain name. So just for testing purpose, I'm just typing dummy.com. So add your domain and click on Add Domain. Once the domain is added, you can verify the domain using a couple of options in the product. The first option is the CNAME method, which is followed by most of our customers. You can verify your domain with CNAME method by creating a DNS entry where your domain's DNS is hosted. So it might be GoDaddy, 1&1, EuroDNS, Bluehost, etc. Another option is HTML file method. In this method, you will be adding the file we provide in a specified path under your website page. When you click verify, it will look for the particular file in your website and verify domain based on the file. So these are the two different options. Once your domain is verified, you can start importing users from AD using the provisioning tool. Basically, provisioning tool facilitates to establish a secure connection between Zoho Vault and the Active Directory setup. So you can fetch users list from AD groups or organization units and import required users into the Zoho Vault. It takes only a few seconds to download it. Once it is downloaded, you can run this app as an administrator. So run it as an administrator. So under the login details section, first enter the verified domain, which you have already specified in the Zoho Vault website under the domain verification page. Then select the data center based on the data center in which we have signed up for Zoho Vault and click the start button. So the verified domain in the test setup now is azvaultdemo.com. and it is currently in US data center, which is zoho.com/vault. So once these informations are configured, click on the start button. So copy the URL specified in the provisioning tool and access it from the browser. Click the accept button in this page. By clicking the accept button, you are allowing the provisioning tool to fetch users list from AD, create accounts in Zoho Vault during import process, and also allow the app to delete users from Zoho Vault during the sync process. So once it is done, you can go back to the provisioning tool and click the next button. Under the LDAP connection section, you can go ahead and provide the server details from which we are going to fetch the users list. Basically, your domain controller information to collect the users list to import. Zoho Vault's provisioning tool uses LDAP protocol to communicate with Active Directory. So specify the server hostname in LDAP URL format. If you're using LDAP secure in your environment, use LDAP-S in the LDAP URL, use the port number as 636 and set the option use SSL as true to establish a connection with the server. Then provide the base DN. So this is the point from where the provisioning tool will start to search for users in the Active Directory. Under the scope, you can specify whether you need to search for users just one level in the hierarchy, or you need to search through complete hierarchy in the Active Directory to fetch the users list. To authenticate and fetch the users list from AD, enter a domain account credentials. The username has to be specified in distinguished name format. It is not necessary that account need to be an admin account. You can use any account that has read permissions in the domain. Now let us go ahead and fill in this information quickly. I will also show you how to get the information in distinguished name format from the Active Directory. So to fetch the base DN information, you can go to the Active Directory. So this is our test setup. So this server runs on 2016 Windows Server platform. So you can go to the Server Manager console first, and from there you can go to Tools, Active Directory, Users and Computer Console. So go to View and select the Advanced Features option so that you can access the Attribute Editor tab in the Containers and Users list, and then you can go ahead and fetch or fill in the required information in Zoho Vault. So in this scenario, I'm going to import users from the users container. So I'll right click on the users container, and under properties, I go straight to the attribute editor, and from there I'll fetch the distinguished name. So paste that distinguished name in the base DN. And in the domain username, you can go ahead and fill in the DN format of the user account with which we are going to authenticate and fetch the users list. So right click on that account, go to properties under attribute editor. You can get the distinguished name and again put it in the provisioning tool. So now let's just go ahead and enter the password of this account so that we can move forward to the next section. So once these informations are filled in, you can click the next to access the provision section in the app. In the provision section of this tool, you can choose operations between import users and sync users. When you choose import users option, you can import users from Active Directory into Zoho Vault. When you choose sync users, the provisioning tool will communicate with AD and check if there are any changes made in the group or organizational unit from which we have previously imported users. Let's say if you have removed a user from the imported group or from that organization unit, then based on the preference, say disable user or delete user, the provisioning tool will automatically delete or disable that user in the Zoho Vault. And if you have added a new user inside that OU or inside that particular user group from which we have previously imported users, so at that point, the Zoho Vault provisioning tool will show you the list of newly added users in that group or in that OU. So you can select the required users from that list and you can just import those specific users into the vault. Now let us perform an import operation. By default, you have an LDAP query configured in the provisioning tool to fetch the users list from the base DN. You can double click on the query to update it. So in our scenario, we will be using this tool to import users from the users container. Then specify a default password. The reason for specifying a default password is in future, if you experience any login issues with AD or if the domain controller is down in an unlikely event, the super admin of Zoho Vault can disable the AD authentication temporarily and allow users to access Zoho Vault using this backup password. Once the AD issue is resolved, super admin can log into Zoho Vault and enable the AD authentication again. Once the AD authentication is enabled, users can't access Zoho Vault with this backup password. So let's go ahead and apply some default password in the provisioning tool. So you can click next after configuring the default password. Now, in the attribute section, you can configure required attribute and use it to fetch only specific users from the entire users list in the selected AD group or organizational unit. Then click the next button to see the list of users based on the LDAP query. You can select the required team members and provide access to Zoho Vault from here. So finally, to complete the AD LDAP integration with Zoho Vault, you need to download a PowerShell script from a link that is provided in our help document. I will share that help document information after this live demo. After downloading that PowerShell script, save it in the C drive in the ADFS installation system. Now go to the server in which the ADFS is installed. and open the command prompt. So after opening the command prompt, execute the commands in the following order. So first go to the location in which we have the ADFS script available and open the PowerShell from the command line. And execute the command set execution policy remote signed. This command is to determine whether you can load configuration files or run scripts. In our case, we are going to execute a script to configure information like SAML endpoints, relaying parties, and relaying party trust in AD Federation service. So now let's go ahead and execute the script. So when you execute the script, you need to specify the domain that you have already verified in the Zoho Vault website. After running this PowerShell script, you get the details related to ADFS configuration. This information has to be copied on the Zoho Vault SAML configuration page. So first, let me just go to the C drive and get the certificate. On the SAML configuration page, enable the option enter IDP details manually, and then copy the information into Zoho Vault website. So we have already saved the certificate in our desktop, and the algorithm is RSA. So once all the details are completely filled in, you can click the option save and enable. So you will get the message SAML configuration is saved successfully. So now, once this configuration is done, users can log into Zoho Vault product just using their domain credentials. So let's see the user behavior now. So user will go to the Zoho Vault website. And in the Zoho Vault website, user can access the login link located on the top right-hand corner of the page. Now, in the login page, you have email and password options, right? So in the email and password, the users can directly enter their domain, email address, and the password of their domain account. So which will authenticate users against the ADFS and allow the users to access the Zoho Vault service without any problem. So the user one, this is one of the user which we have already imported from the domain controller from this domain. So specify the domain information, the domain account, and then the password. And click on sign in. So this will automatically redirect to the ADFS page, and once the authentication against the ADFS is successful, user will be logged into the Zoho Vault product. So once user logged into Zoho Vault, they can set up a passphrase for their account and they can start using the product continuously. Now we saw a quick overview of integrating Zoho Vault with on-premise Microsoft Active Directory. I'm sure many of you would like to try this hands-on and reap benefits. So we have adequate help documents for the same. I will copy and paste the URLs in the chat section. You can just go ahead and check it. So now it's time for questions. Let us make this session interactive. So feel free to raise questions using the chat option. I will try to answer them in this session. If at all, if your queries go unanswered, do not panic. We will make sure unanswered question during the session will be answered via email. All right, so we got the first question here. So which edition of Zoho Vault the AD integration is available? The AD integration is available in the Enterprise Edition. So it is priced at $7 per user per month. If you go for annual subscription, you get a 10% discount. Sales team offers seasonal discounts too. If you need a code or for purchase or to upgrade, please drop email to sales@zohocorp.com, or you can drop email to support@zohovault.com. All right, another question. So is Zoho Vault part of Zoho One, and does AD integration works? Yes, Enterprise Edition of Zoho Vault is included in Zoho One. The AD integration is available in the Zoho One. Do I need the DNS record after completing the domain verification process? No, it is not required. So after verifying the domain, you can very well go ahead and remove the DNS record that you configured for domain verification. One more question. Do I need admin privileges for the configuration? Yes, you need to be super admin in Zoho Vault to configure the AD LDAP integration. In case of Active Directory, it is not necessary. You just need read permissions for that user account to fetch the users list from AD and import them into the product. There is one more question. Can I integrate Zoho Vault with Azure AD? Yes, you can very well integrate Zoho Vault with Azure AD. So there is another question. Does this use AD groups? You can import users from AD groups and OUs, but the group structure from which you are importing users, that group structure will not be maintained in the product at present. But you can create groups manually, so you can share passwords to users based on user groups as well. Peter, does this answer your question? Thanks, Peter. Thanks for the confirmation. So one more question. So what happens to a user if the user is newly added to Zoho, that is AD group or OU? You can use a provisioning tool to sync with AD. So when you sync with AD, the provisioning tool will check if there are any modifications done in the group or in the OU from which we have previously imported. If you have added any new users, you can see the list of users who are newly added to that group. You can select the required users and you can import into Vault. So one more question regarding mobile application. Does AD authentication works in mobile phone or mobile application? Yes, AD authentication will work in Zoho Vault mobile applications. So any other questions, please go ahead. Please post all your questions with respect to AD integration in Zoho Vault. So we will definitely answer them. So as you might have observed during this demo, so the product and the process of AD integration is very simple and a straightforward thing. So the Instruction provided on the GUI is very much sufficient to configure things. And if you come across any issues, or in case if you need any assistance, no problem. You can just shoot an email to support@zohovault.com. We are always available. We'll definitely take your support request with priority and try to answer your questions or try to address your issues as soon as possible. With this, I am closing the Q&A session. I will ensure to answer your questions through email. If you have any questions, please put that in the chat console. I will definitely answer them through the email once the session is over. We hope the session was useful and informative. So if you have any questions or feedback on the topic which we should cover in next section or in next session, write to support@zohovault.com. With this, I'm signing off. My sincere thanks to everyone for taking time and joining the session today. Thank you. Have a nice day.